And Josh Coles is the director of the McCormick Bridgehouse and Chicago River Museum, which is a project of the Friends of the Chicago River. Josh has been in the director role at the Bridgehouse Museum for 5 years, and prior to that worked as a community organizer and in academia. So Josh, are you ready to take it away?
I am, thank you, Aaron.
Excellent.
All right, let me share my screen here. Okay. Let's see. Okay, hopefully that works for everybody. All right, so welcome everyone. Thank you so much to Aaron and Anna and Mara and everyone over at CCA for having me today. I appreciate the honor to tell everybody about the McCormick Bridgehouse and Chicago River Museum. As Aaron said, the Bridgehouse Museum is a project of Friends of the Chicago River, and we opened in 2006. So the Bridgehouse Museum is located on the Chicago Riverwalk, right at Michigan and Wacker, as you can see in this photo. It's a pretty popular location, and we were actually one of the first things that was on the Riverwalk. So you had to actually go down those steps, go into the museum, and the underbridge connections weren't even there yet when we opened. Luckily, the underbridge connections happened and the Riverwalk became a pretty popular tourist destination. So we have become a little bit more busy over the last 15 years. And hopefully this year will be a little better than last. So just give you a sense of what Friends of the Chicago River is, if you don't know, we do have 3 program areas at Friends. So we have on-the-ground projects, which include our habitat restoration, dam removal, and some other programs. The policy and planning program area, which includes river edge development guidelines, blue-green corridor, and some other policy that our team works on. And we have education and outreach, which is where the Bridgehouse Museum falls into. Also in education and outreach are our Chicago River School Network and our canoe program. So what is the McCormick Bridgehouse and Chicago River Museum? Well, first of all, I will probably be referring to the this place as a Bridgehouse Museum today. That's what most people call it. And the Bridgehouse Museum celebrates the Chicago River and its world famous movable bridges. So there's 2 things that we talk about in there. We talk about bridges and we talk about the living wild river that we all know and love. So the museum, as you can see, it's that entire tower. It's laid out chronologically. So at the very lower level, we talk about how the region formed through glaciation, pre-colonization, early Native American history. And then as you move up, you go through time. So the top floor is then about modern day Chicago River revitalization and what to look for in the future. The museum itself is connected to the DuSable Bridge. The DuSable Bridge turned 100 years old on May 14th, 2020. When the bridge was built in, when the bridge was built in 1920, it was the first double-leaf, double-deck Bascule Trunnion bridge built. The bridge connected Michigan Avenue on the south with Pine Street to the north, and completely changed the north side of the river from a dirt road to an extension of the Grand Boulevard to the south. So this is a photo of when the Michigan Avenue Bridge was there, and also the old Rush Street Bridge, which was demolished quite quickly after the Michigan Avenue Bridge was built. So what is a bridge house and why would we consider using one for a museum? So the bridge house, or a bridge house, is generally used to open and close movable bridges. And each movable bridge has between 1 and 4 bridge houses attached to it. The Michigan Avenue Bridge House that we now occupy was never actually a functional bridge house. It was always decorative and it was not used to open and close the bridge. The northwest and southeast bridge houses were actually the ones that had the equipment in them to open and close the Michigan Avenue Bridge. And ours was only there for aesthetic purposes. So that actually made it a really good place to build a museum because it was already empty and only used for storage by the city. The Bascule Trunnion Bridge itself, Bascule is a French word that translates roughly to seesaw. And it's called that because of the balance that the bridge achieves. This is advantageous to being a movable bridge because this balance allows the motor to raise and lower the bridge without using a huge amount of power. Each leaf of this particular Bascule bridge can be raised and lowered only using the size of a small car, an engine the size of a small car. So it's about 100 horsepower to open and close each leaf of this bridge. The Michigan Avenue Bridge was renamed the DuSable Bridge in 2010 after Jean-Baptiste Point DuSable, who was the first non-Native American permanent resident. DuSable's residence was on the north side of the river, just on the other side from our museum, right about where the Apple store is today. So we have some historic photos of what the inside of the museum looked like prior to the museum being built in it, which I thought you might find interesting. So the Bridgehouse was opened in 2006. So these pictures were around 2002 to 2004 when we were first starting to think about working on the inside of these bridge houses. We added HVAC, electrical heating elements, and then finally the exhibit was added. So you can see that it's a pretty rough interior here. As opposed to, I have some photos of the exhibit going in. And then this is a photo of our third floor, which you can see those giant windows that are pretty recognizable from the inside and outside. And then you'll see a few more photos of the inside of the museum as it is today. This is also the photo of our gear room, which you can see the giant gears that still operate the bridge today. These gears still open and close the bridge about 40 times a year. And the bridge only opens and closes in the spring and the fall, unless there's some sort of special reason that it needs to. So the reason that the bridge opens these days are for the sailboats that are going in and out of Lake Michigan. So those boats will sign up for a schedule that CDOT prepares, and that is typically on Wednesdays and Saturdays in the spring and the fall for about 10-week periods of time. It's a photo of opening day, 2006. You can see that everybody's in 2006 era outfits. This is a photo of the Riverwalk in around 2006 when we first opened. You can see down there below in the river is a floating island, which Friends of the Chicago River developed, which was a pretty cool habitat piece. And then this is the Riverwalk today. So you can tell it transformed quite a bit. And the entrance to the bridge house is down there on the lower left corner. Another view of that. So in August of 2020, the museum received its first exhibit refresh since opening in 2006. The refresh occurred in the lobby, which you can see here, the first floor and the fifth floor. The first floor of the museum takes a look at the region prior to colonization and how the Chicago River shaped the landscape. And then, as I said earlier, as we move up the tower, we discuss the topics of human manipulation of the waterway, including the I&M Canal and Sanitary and Ship Canal. And then the very top floor of the museum gives not only a great views, but also a look at the modern revitalization of the river. And even though the river is much cleaner today than it's been in quite a while, we do discuss the many challenges that it still faces, such as climate change, public access, and toxic runoff and combined sewer overflows. So all of that is discussed on this top floor. This floor also celebrates the river and the successes. And we also try to highlight some of the wildlife that lives in and along the river. One of the cool little factoids that we highlight is that whenever Friends of the Chicago River started working on the river in 1979, only 7 species of fish were found in the waterway whenever they sampled it. And today there are up to 75 species of fish found in the waterway. And that's only fish. We're not talking about things like turtles, frogs, and other invertebrates that have also come back. So the museum itself is, of course, this museum that's open for about 6 months out of the year, but we also try to put on special events and do some other special activities at the museum to bring some more life and culture down to the Riverwalk itself. So you can see down here, we did a plein air painting event at the museum in 2018, which was a really fun activity for some plein air painters and some art lovers along the Riverwalk. We used to do an Asian carp grill, which was a fun event that we worked with our policy team to highlight the struggles of the Asian carp invasive species, which many people ask if the Asian carp are in the Chicago River, and they are not. They're a little bit more south down in the Illinois River. We do a project called the Tender House Project, which has been running since 2018. It's a temporary exhibit, and it's curated by local architect and designer Mijay Gula, and it seeks to discover ways to activate the unused bridge houses in Chicago. It's also a course at the School of the Art Institute. This was a pretty cool project that we're thinking about bringing back this year in some way. It was called the Southside Home Movie Project, and it was a Tender House project activation. They built a screen in one of our large windows to project home videos of the river and the lake from the 1950s through the 1980s. We also have and welcome many more musical performances on the Riverwalk, both in and outside of the museum. We've had a few pop-up shops. This one was a screen printing shop that has been at the museum every winter since, I believe, 2016. All the proceeds from this pop-up shop go to Streetwise. We also do a fundraiser cruise every year. This year, we're planning to do it in October. It's a great way to get people out on the river and talk about policy issues, as well as, of course, an open bar, open food, all that kind of fun stuff that you expect at a fundraiser. This year will be a Halloween cruise, which will be fun. Bridgehouse Museum has also been a rental venue. Over the years, there's been weddings, parties, all kinds of great stuff at the museum. And if you're interested, let me know and we can set one up. Much like today, we also do a lecture series at the Bridgehouse Museum. We typically do about 10 Mondays a year. We're a little bit unsure of what day and time we're going to do it this year, but we do plan to bring back this lecture series. We have topics ranging from Army Corps professionals to water reclamation district officials to people from the shed or other institutions talking about water quality and other issues that affect our waterway. And one of our most popular things are our bridge lift viewings. So they are, as I said, they're in the spring and the fall. And the way that we do it is we allow a certain amount of people into the museum and we give them a guided tour of the museum as we wait for the boats to approach the bridge. Once the boats get to the bridge, we open up the gear room and allow people to watch the big gears in the bridge open from the inside. So this is the only place that you can actually experience this unless you're somehow a CDOT employee or something. So it's really a special event that we have at the Bridgehouse Museum that you can't really see anywhere else. We do plan to bring these back this year. They're quite fun. The fall ones are a little bit easier because the boats are all coming from Lake Michigan, so they only have to go through 2 bridges before they hit Michigan Avenue, so we can time them out a little bit easier. In the springtime, they are going through about 20 bridges before they hit ours, so it's a little harder to predict when they're going to get to the Bridgehouse Museum, but we still do the same type of event. And in the spring, all you need to do is just pay your general admission and you'll be able to see it. Speaking of that, I did want to mention what we're planning for 2021, since it's a little bit of a strange year coming off of 2020. So we do plan to open up the Bridgehouse Museum again in May, and we are going to most likely do a soft opening where we'll be open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday until we feel as if the museum can handle its normal operating schedule of 5 days a week. We are planning to bring back some events like the bridge lift viewings and the lecture series, and we are likely going to add special events as the city and the CDC allows us to open up a little bit more. You can find everything out on our website, which is bridgehousemuseum.org, and we always post well in advance all of the special events that we're going to have. If you ever have any questions, you can always reach out to me. My email should be in this next slide. There we go. You can always reach out to me if you have any questions about bridges or even any sort of ecological questions. That's really my background. And if you want to plan an event or come to see something special at the museum, then I am always around and eager to hear from you. So that's it for me today. I would love to take some questions if anyone has any.
We can give everybody a moment as they type their questions in the chat or pipe up. I have a question, Josh. What got you into the Chicago River?
Physically or no, I'm kidding. So I've always been interested in conservation biology and the local ecosystem in the Chicago region, and of course the Chicago River is the middle of all of that. So so I worked as a community organizer with Forest Preserves and Friends of the Forest Preserves for about 4 years prior to coming to the Chicago River Museum, and it all just kind of fell into place.
Very neat.
Mm-hmm.
There a part of the museum that's something that people just walking through might miss, but that's really interesting to you?
It's kind of interesting, the things that people find interesting in the museum. Some people are engineers and they come specifically for the bridge information and to see the inside of the bridge, and others come to learn the history of the, like for instance, the I&M Canal or how the river was reversed. I think the top floor is very interesting because you can see what organizations like Friends of the Chicago River, other environmental organizations have done to improve the water quality. That's what's really important to me, because you can really see how the river went from basically a sewer, a living sewer, to what it is today, which has tons of wildlife, tons of birds along it, all kinds of really wild things that you wouldn't expect to see in the city. But it's also an urban river. So there are things that you won't find, or things that you'll see in Colorado or somewhere where it's a wild river and you won't find here. But I think that's what makes it really special.
We have some questions in the chat here. Are there any organized canoe kayak trips from there to LaSalle, Peru? I don't know if you know that.
I do not know that answer. We do canoe trips at Friends, but they are very short. They're usually 2 hours or 2 to 4 hours. So I don't know of any. Maybe Anna knows some, I'm not sure. Or anyone else on the call? No,
I'm not aware of any either.
Okay. That would be fun though. I would join that if someone has information on it. I would love to do that.
Well, Derek asked that, so maybe he needs to organize that.
Ooh, come on, Derek.
I see another question. Does Friends of the Chicago River host walking tours along the river? We are planning to host some walking tours this summer. Keep an eye out on Friends' main website. It's not going to be through the Bridgehouse Museum, but most likely it will be through Friends of the Chicago River itself. So keep an eye out on our special events on Friends. We do host things like litter cleanups, which are typically with one of our education managers. So during those litter cleanups, there is often a lot of interpretation that goes on during those. So it's almost like a walking tour where you can do a little bit of good while you're doing it. And yes, Derek, please do set one up and let me know. I would go on that. Thank you, Veronica. I appreciate that.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I think we'll move on to the next section then. Just a moment here.
Going to say thank you so much, Josh. That was very interesting. And I think a lot of people haven't been to all of the sites, you know, in our passport or on our Black Band brochure. So we're hoping that this gives them enough information so that when they're asked about it, they know where to recommend and what to say about the different sites. So thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome. Thank you, Anna.
One last little question there. It was congratulations on your partnership with the Illinois Clean Energy Community Foundation. What is your annual budget?
Thank you for that question, Mary Lou. Off the top of my head, I actually am not quite sure, but all of that information can be found on our website. It's all open to the public. So we have an annual report that can be found on our website. I don't want to misspeak though on that.
Right. Well, next up, we're going to talk a little bit about the Illinois-Michigan Canal Passport Program. So let me get that warmed up here.
And like I just said, the Bridge Museum is one of the passport stops, so.
All right, I think everybody can see it now, right? So this year, well, actually 2019 was our 35th anniversary. And last year we sort of missed out on a great year to go adventuring around the I&M Canal Corridor. So we have extended the program for the passports through this August 23rd in 2021. And the passport program is a great program that we've gotten a lot of wonderful feedback from our partners, with people coming out of their way and coming with the passports to get stamps. And they say, oh, we've never heard of you, but here we are, and what a neat place. And so you can collect stamps at 35 sites in the I&M Canal National Heritage Area. For the 35th anniversary, we are offering prizes for collecting 20 or more sites. So that includes T-shirts and
Boat
ride and a few others. It's all on our website. So if you collect 20 or more sites, you can turn those passports into the Visitors Center here in LaSalle, get them to us in one way or another, and we can register you for the prizes. If you want more information, please visit our website at inmcanal.org/passport. If you're a partner site, we wanted to make sure that you knew that this is still going on, that this is still happening, that you don't have to throw them all out because the expiration date went out. Their program is still going on to this date. We've had some questions from different partners on, well, what if you get that strange visitor request? Oh, please, we're having issues. Well, the goal of the program is so that we have fun, that we get more people involved in exploring the corridor and its many places. So we want to make sure that you err on the side of flexibility. Oh, if they're having some little difficulties, we can still get the stamps to them. We just want to make sure everybody's having a good experience. That said, what if they want to stamp passports for others that are not present? Well, again, the goal is to get people out and exploring. So we would really rather you stamp only the passports of those present. Some people have lost the stamp over the last year, and maybe it got locked away in some different office that you can't find. Well, some people have been honoring the partner's initials, and we will honor the partner's initials. So here's my handy passport right here, which you can't see through the video. But often we could go just Aaron Mays and then write the date down. And we'll accept that as a valid signature, as I'm the verifying official. And so if you're a different partner, you can validate some stamps that way. However, visitors do enjoy a good stamp. So if you would like a replacement, there's a $35 charge, and then we can get a replacement to you. They're not cheap, these stamps, but they are nice. If you happen to be low on passports, please contact us. We'll get some more to you. And if you have a lot of people coming to your site and they are talking about how wonderful this program is and all the different adventures they've gone on and the different places they've seen. Some people last year stopped at gas stations to prove that they had seen the site next door that was closed that year. And some people went to some amazing lengths to try to complete these books. So if you have those people coming to your place and talking about the wonderful experiences they've had, have them use the hashtag #IandMCanal on social media in order to share those wonderful stories and encourage other people to complete these passports. Are there any questions on the passport program? All right. Not really hearing any here. Let's move on to the next section. So the next section of the program is our networking session. And that's where we're going to break everybody up into small breakout rooms so that you can get to meet different enthusiasts about canals and national heritage areas and all the related wonderful things that go along with that. So Mara, could you break us out into some rooms here?